Hi. Since July, as of September 14th, gold is up 25%. That means that there are profits to be gained, and that in the meantime, while you're not making those profits, you're actually losing 25% of your purchasing power. If all that you have is stuck in the USD or the euro, you've already lost as much as a quarter of your wealth. Certainly, it's time for you to get a plan. And what the Panama Insider is seeking to accomplish for you is create a system where you can easily get a hold of the answers that pertain specifically to you. Our unique value and benefit is that we are gearing what we produce directly toward your unique motivation. And so, if you are motivated to get an escape plan for wealth preservation, if you are looking for a plan B in case you need to go ahead and leave, and if you are looking for access to international investments that will lower your tax obligations so that you can legally exempt yourself from having to pay taxes, or so that you can engage in true asset protection privacy for those investments, then we need to talk. So what we're going to provide for you in the Total Offshore Financial Guidance A to Z begins with a comprehensive consultation. So we have a very large questionnaire. It's very in-depth. And what it does is it's designed to help us extract the questions, the answers that these different investment providers have, in order for us to be able to tell you, okay, well, you might not qualify to go and talk to that guy. Let's not waste your time. He's not got the product that's right for you. Instead, I'm going to introduce you to this guy over here. Now, again, we're not here to sell investments, but the reason why you're even considering going through the cost of setting up an offshore setup is because you want to be able to make profit. And, if some of that is in the form of eliminating tax obligations, then great, we can help you with that too. So the unique aspect of what we've created that you really can't find anywhere else, believe me, we've tried, is in understanding the core fundamentals of why and how asset protection works, why offshore structures work the way they do, and it's going to empower you to be able to intuitively understand what you're looking at when you review what is a corporation, or what is a Panama Foundation, or is this trust document written properly, or is it missing specific elements. So we're going to cover those things for you here in Control versus Ownership. A big problem that people take for granted is that what is a natural person, and they don't understand that we're dealing with different definitions. Just like how when you enter a debate or go into court, they state what the definitions are, what the rules of engagement are. So what you're going to need to know is, what can't you do? What are the limitations? And once you know what you can't do, and you understand the definitions of what that really means, like a natural person isn't just you and me, it's also, according to the United States, a natural person, for the purpose of taxes, includes domesticated LLCs and corporations. So, for example, if you go and talk to somebody who helps you gain access to your retirement accounts, maybe in a self-directed IRA, you're going to talk with them about a custodian versus the funds manager. You need to understand that those two people are different. And when they talk about the custodian, generally speaking, is a domestic LLC. That also qualifies as being a natural person, and so you have to consider those things when looking at what are the tax obligations. We'll help you navigate understanding all of those things in a very automated format. So let me show you some examples. Here we have corporate structures. Foundations. Panama Foundations, for instance, are a really interesting tool. And unfortunately, we've through a lot of research, because we're always looking for qualified CPAs or tax attorneys or people who want to become qualified, because it's a growing niche market. We find that a lot of people don't want to do business with a Panama Foundation because it's very difficult for figuring out how to tax it. Well, what we've done is gotten you the best documents on how to demystify what is a Panama Foundation. Does it act as a corporation? Does it act as a trust? Etc. And I found this really wonderful document through the grapevine of sovereign investors on foundations and tax-related issues. And it's a legal review of the Panama Foundation specifically as it relates to U.S. tax reporting, and it also includes the documents depending on how you want to actually treat the entity. And you find out from this, and through also our help in putting it into context, that the best way to treat a Panama Foundation is as a trust. So when we go, what it means though is as a trust, it's acting as a holding company, and it actually has other corporations or other entities that are doing the investment. So here we have, what is a holding company? And so once you figure out, okay, I think the Panama Foundation is good as a holding company, or maybe it's better for me to have a New Zealand trust or a Cook Island trust. Now you're going to be able to take that into context when you look at corporate structures. So you'll be able to see, is a Panama Corporation right? Is a Nevis LLC correct for me? And again, through the virtue of your comprehensive consultation, will save you all of the time of just going through this one by one and direct your attention to, okay, start here, go look at that next, this is going to be appropriate, I want you to first look at this document over here, and then after you understand that, go and look at this document over here, right? So you can see the value and how that's going to save you a lot of time. So for example, let's look at the big question, how do I send money and how do I receive money? So one of the ways that we have created automation for you is in desktop tutorials and mind maps. Have a look.
In this particular example, works for a number of nationalities. Okay, so the person decides that they want to make a profit. And technically speaking, what happens is that the U.S. person makes a loan to the Nevis LLC in return for a fixed percentage of profit. Let's say it's going to be 10%, or you can negotiate that with the Nevis LLC. After the loan repayments, that 10% will be charged as profit, but beforehand it will not be. So from the bank account of the Nevis LLC, which is located in Cyprus, to repatriate back to you is going to, in the future, it'll incur a 30% withholding tax. However,
so the issue of withholding tax is pretty interesting, because when we go back to looking at our fundamentals, what you really want to do with the multiple flags theory is you're treaty shopping. You're trying to determine what are the reporting relationships between countries, what are the withholding taxes, and we'll discuss and elaborate for you what a withholding tax is. And once you have a clear understanding of that, you'll be more empowered to understand, okay, so if I do business with a Panama brokerage, for example, and the trade comes is in Japan. Japan is going to withhold 7% taxes right off the top before the profits are sent back to me. That's a withholding tax. And being able to understand that, for example, if you do a lot of trading in the United States, and you're going to continue to do that, well, then go ahead and do that with your local broker, because in my interview with the trading desk, I found out that there's a 30% withholding tax in the United States. So, for example, you wouldn't want to do this. You would not want to open a foreign brokerage. Let's say if you're an American person, you wouldn't want to open a foreign brokerage and go and trade on the U.S. market, because when the profits leave the United States to go back through that broker, it's going to incur a 30% withholding tax. Well, frankly, you can circumvent all of that cost of doing business if you're in the United States and you're already set up doing business in the U.S. as a natural person. That's going to be your best situation. And so, if you're not, if you're from a different country, the purpose of doing business with the Panama Insider is that we're going to help you put it into context as it relates to your specific goals. And we first begin doing that through a comprehensive questionnaire. Some of the people and the quality of the investments and the providers that we're going to introduce you to are really dynamic and very forward thinking. And as you will see in the presentation that we have available for you right now, this gentleman from Swiss Metal Assets is very well prepared to handle the big reset. So let me give you a piece of why doing business with us is so important. Because, you know, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to providing you information. Our focus is on helping you put all of this into context. And because of those private relationships that we have, we're able to get you information that otherwise you'd have to spend a lot of money for. So this video here that I have for you was recorded at a major conference in Panama City. And instead of you having to go through the expense and time of booking a plane ticket, $180 room at this hotel, the cost of the conference, and all of that, and instead of you having to go online right now and spend another $1,200 in order to get access to all of these videos, I've got it for you right here. So have a look and see if these are the type of people that you want to do business with.
Gold, as you know, is a precious metal. Silver is a precious metal as well as an industrial metal. But there are many other industrial metals that would make a nice portion of your portfolio. And these gentlemen from Swiss Metal Assets are going to be walking around the room handing or showing you some different industrial metals. And we're going to speak a little bit about why they should be part of your portfolio. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Ulrich Schwark of the Swiss Metal Assets.
Thank you very much. So you can still relax, because this will be the only presentation where we don't want to sell anything to you. So relax. My name is Ulrich Schwark. I'm the co-founder and 50% partner of the Two Oceans Group, together with my partner Peter, who just came to support me. And this is the umbrella company for Swiss Metal Assets. We are both German citizens residing in Panama since 2005. We have both a private banking background and have been in property development combined for the last 55 years. We have developed properties internationally with a value in excess of 100 million in Europe, Mexico, and now here in Panama. In 2005, we've chose Panama for our base to create the Two Oceans Group. This group today consists of nearly 20 companies, focusing on investments in the four columns of wealth accumulation and wealth preservation in the next decades to come. Our first column is obviously, being property developers, is real estate, especially development of middle-income housing and investments in farmland for self-sustainable communities, as well as to supply the ever-growing demand for organic meat, fruit, and vegetables. The second column of our investments is food production and processing. We own one of the largest industrial bakeries in Panama, one of the most forward-thinking facilities in Central America, where we supply more than 100,000 pieces of bread every day to the retail industry. The third column is water. As you read last week's Sovereign Investor, it's the scarcest commodity in the world. Only 1% of the water supply on Earth is drinkable for humans. We started investing in bottling plants for spring water that we have in our farmland. These springs are thousands of years old and deliver the most pure water in the Americas. Our initial production right now will be 100,000 bottles per day. And now the most important, the fourth column, these are the metals, what is the subject of our today's presentation. Two Oceans Group has the sole marketing rights for all of the Americas for Schweizerische Metallhandels AG in Switzerland. And they are the world market leaders when it comes to make industrial metals accessible to the private sector.
The reason why it is important to be doing business with these gentlemen is because the Chinese have a huge monopoly, 97% monopoly over all of the rare earth metals being extracted for production in technology. And so, this group in Germany, who is like the big wholesaler, has given them sole exclusive rights in Latin America. So, The value of this relationship is unsurpassed, and as you can see, these guys understand what it takes in order to be ready for the big reset. So, if you're really passionate about how to create food safety, if you want to be involved in the startup opportunity, maybe there's an investment opportunity involved in bottled water, hey, come out here to Boquete. Boquete, Panama is a fantastic place. The tap water is so good. Where I live, the water is so good, I've been thinking about making a pretty bottle and just bottling it myself. So these are the kinds of folks that we're doing business with. And if you want to conduct an interview with them, if you have specific questions, send your questions to me and I'll be happy to answer those for you. Because as you have questions, others will too. And I'll be able to ask some other questions on top of that to really get you the level of in-depth information that is going to be helpful to you. So let's move on really quickly and show you another way in which we conduct business to help leverage your time and give you an opportunity to not just hear me on the phone as you would with a regular consultation, but also to be able to refer back to the info. So we've not only recorded it, but put it down to, hey, let's sit in our fuzzy slippers and talk about the nuts and bolts. This particular video I created because a client was telling me that he wants to set up a bank account. He was planning on going to a branch in the United States in order to open up an offshore bank account. But the problem is, he's planning to do it in his name as a natural person, expecting that would create some level of asset protection and some level of privacy or security. But in reality, it doesn't really. And so this is the kind of explanations that I'll be able to provide for you about why it's important not to open a bank account that appears to be foreign from the United States. And the question is always about jurisdiction. So let me take you back a couple of years, and maybe you remember in the media hearing about UBS and the scandal that happened with UBS Switzerland and their employee giving over a bunch of information about American clients. So yes, we've established it's really important to open offshore bank accounts while you still can, because as a U.S. person, obviously we are losing this capability. And we go in and talk a lot more about that. What I'm going to do is I'm always going to help you understand the difference between engaging in offshore business as a U.S. person, as a natural citizen, versus the windows of opportunity that become available when you engage in business under the protection and the umbrella of a corporate structure. That's really key. Because as I talk about here, what you want to do in order to create protection and privacy is engage in business with banks that are not doing unscrupulous lending. And sometimes that's through private banking. And with a private bank, you're not going to be able to just walk in off the street and open up an account, whether that was going to be in your personal name or as a corporation. You have to get an introduction. In this video, I discuss some of the benefits of doing business with private banks. I also discuss what happened with UBS Switzerland and how to avoid those problems. And I'll introduce you to one particular private banking opportunity that's so unique that you get the protection of what private banking does for you. That's probably the most valuable thing that I can provide for you in terms of helping you to know that you can really trust banks. You've got to be educated on the subject because we know that asset protection and privacy are alive and well. We will show you the kinds of providers that will respect your privacy. We'll introduce you to the jurisdictions that do not have reporting treaties with the government that you're trying to avoid problems with. And so you're going to be able to make a very informed decision as to what degree of transparency you want to engage in. And also, you're going to be able to understand the difference between, am I evading taxes, or what happens if I don't report this, and how can I avoid having to report it legally. So, we'll help you put all of that information into context, and I invite you to get your membership. You'll see that with the Panama Insider, the level of information that you're getting and for the price is really, really astronomically disproportionate. You know, really we're giving this away for a song compared to the amount of work that's going into giving you a platform to not only be able to understand, but to come back and review it once you have a clearer concept of how to put these principles into context for your particular benefit. So I thank you so much for your time. Let's get started. Make your payment today. We're happy to have you as a client. We're not just here to sell your product. As you can see, there's a billion products. There's 100 different jurisdictions to consider. There are a number of banks that are public and private that you wouldn't be able to find on the open market, and even the information that is available publicly is all right there for you. So we've got it in folders. We're going to point you to the information that specifically relates to what you need, and we're going to help you avoid losing another 25% over the next few months. So thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate your trust, and we look forward to doing business with you. Be well.